My name is SUNNY BINDRA. I'm here at the Africa Customer Experience Conference in Nairobi. Great pleasure to be asked to come here. I have worked with a lot of clients in a lot of settings about this thing, this magical, mysterious thing called customer experience. I'm here to give the benefits of that experience. All the lessons learned on that journey, I hope to share with the delegates in the form of just a few insights that if we can get a few things right, the bigger deal around customer experience happens. So I'm looking forward to sharing those insights.
My very first book was called Crown Your Customer 10, 12 years ago. Those of you who remember, it was an angry book because I was writing it as a consumer, as a customer, saying, why do people not get it? I was also writing it as an advisor to corporations, saying, why don't they get it? That there is only one point of having a business, right? Which is to have a customer that believes in you, that buys from you and stays with you. There is nothing else going on in business. And if we can't get this fundamental point right, then what are we doing? So what I'd like to do is actually just give you some reflections. I have been observing, studying, writing about, advising people about customer experience for 2 or 3 decades now. And I thought this is a good chance to just give you some reflections. What have I watched and what have I seen and what works and doesn't work? That we often think customer care is an easy thing to do. It's an obvious thing to do. It's something because we think, yeah, that's what we're here for, we'll do it, we'll pull it off. No, you won't. The chances are you will not do this thing very well. You will join the rest of the world who can't do this thing very well, despite the investment, despite the intention, despite the leadership. It is very hard. And don't ever think sitting in this room, if you lead teams doing customer experience, if you become a CEO, that this will be one of the easier parts of your job. It will not. It is easy enough to have the intention. It's easy enough to spend the money on systems and processes. It's easy enough to hire good people. It's easy enough to do it for a week. Sustained, consistent customer experience, one of the hardest things in the world to pull off. Doing it across territories, across boundaries, across locations is even harder. Doing it year after year after year until you become recognized for having a stable, consistent standard is the hardest thing. So before I even get to the advice part of this, I would want you to understand the scale of the challenge. We all want to do this. We all need to do this. We have no choice but to do this. But let's not think it's an easy thing. It is one of the hardest things you'll do in your life, to create outstanding customer experience that you are applauded for and that lasts more than a few weeks. Because outstanding customer experience means the customer feels it year after year. They feel it whichever part of the organization they experience from you. They feel it across all boundaries. Now you have done it, and you are now a hero if you have pulled that off. Because most people absolutely do not. As we know, as customers, don't we? One of the things I did when I wrote that first book was go around surveying people and asking them, name for me 10 outstanding customer experiences you have had in the last month. How many do you think I got? How many would you have even today? Yeah, this is the point. You know, it doesn't happen often. When I would say, tell me about the bad ones. Oh, it's like opening a tap. Yeah, it just gushes out and I'd have to turn the page and keep writing, right? Because it really outnumbers, the bad experiences outnumber the great ones. But when we have the great ones, we never forget them. This is the point, we never forget them. Let me tell you one I had. I visited Singapore and I said to my wife, we must stay in the Raffles Hotel because the Raffles Hotel is renowned for outstanding customer service and I want to go there and see if this is a hype or it's true. So we stayed in the Raffles Hotel and it is absolutely true. They are one of the examples I would give around the world of people who really get it. That if you come and stay with us, you are special and you will be made to feel special. in big ways and in the smallest ways. Let me give you one of the smallest ways. We were having breakfast. I was talking to my son about a football game that was due to come later that evening. And he was asking me, will we be able to see our game? And I was thinking, out here in Singapore, I don't know how much football they watch. I doubt it. But maybe we'll go to reception and ask if that game is on, or I'll try and look at the schedules. Let's see if we can watch it. The waiter who was serving us breakfast overheard this, right, and said to me, excuse me, sir, leave that with me. Okay? He's the waiter serving breakfast, said, leave that with me, I'll check for you. Now, this is one of my problems. When I go on holiday, I'm always watching the customer experience. I forget to have the holiday. So I now started watching him intently. He went to his supervisor, and the supervisor nodded, and he went off. So he's gone off duty now, even though he's serving breakfast. Yeah, because he's trying to do a wow for a customer. He came back running after 10 minutes and said, I've checked for you, sir. It is indeed playing. Your game will be on. It will be on this channel. There's a TV in your room. You should be able to watch it. Wonderful. So we go out, touring for the day. We come back in the evening. As we walk into the room, I'm telling my son, we just made it for the game. This is great. I go to the TV. There's a note there, right, from the same waiter saying, reminding you about your game. Okay. I have set the correct channel for you. Just switch the TV on. Now you see the wow you had there? It's a little thing, yeah? But it's not contingent on that man thinking like that at the time. It's a system they have. They are trained to think, if you pick up something that's troubling a client or you could have an opportunity for a wow, do it. And go all the way, up to the point of setting the channel for them when these people walk into their room. I can't remember what the game was now because I was just starting to think all about this, how they pulled it off. Yeah. Now those little experiences are really powerful. They really bond you to the place. Yeah. So my family, it was like whenever we're in Singapore, we're not staying anywhere else. It's a given. I was thinking this place is bloody expensive. But no, that's where we're staying. That's what the family decrees now because of 2 or 3 things like that. And that's all you need. You need 2 or 3 in a stay and people are with you. Because everywhere else in their lives, they don't encounter this. So when they do get it, they're very, very happy with you. This is how you get lifelong customers. But it's hard. Setting up that system for that waiter to do that thing was hard work done by somebody. Recruiting, training, setting up those systems, yeah, making sure people follow through. Checking up on it, repeating it, hard work. Right. Let's move on. Where do you start doing this thing called outstanding customer experience? At the very top. Absolutely at the very top. If you have outstanding customer experience in your organization or you have terrible customer experience, the fault lies with the board and the chief executive, and the praise should go to them too. Because if they get it up there, there is a chance the organization will do this thing. If they do not get it at the top level, forget it. Okay? Customer experience programs that I have watched people try to enact are often, it's down there, it's those guys. We are not the guys serving customers. We sit in the boardroom. Yeah? We are the executive team. The wananchi down there are the ones who deal with awkward customers. Wrong. The attitude, the intention, the standard starts from the very top. And if your board doesn't get it, your CEO doesn't get it, you have a huge challenge. Okay, so if we're going to do this thing, it has to be set as a standard from the apex of the organization, and then it has to be role modeled. So you may be the one running that team. You cannot leave it to the team if you want this standard to be embedded. You have to show up. You have to show the way. You have to do it yourself. Some of the best CEOs I've worked with in this regard have gone down to do things like man the tills or take the calls for 1 hour. Yeah, I have actually made CEOs do these things. And then they figure out what goes wrong. Because I made one CEO sit I said, how long do you think you'll sit at your switchboard and take calls? He said, I can do it all day. It's an easy thing. I said, really? Okay, let's start at 9. I'll sit next to you and let's see what happens. By 10 o'clock, he was asking if it's done and, have I made my point and can he go back to his office? Because he was so fed up of the calls. And I said to him, what have you learned? And he said, yeah, short stints, lots of breaks. Yeah, you cannot do this for 8 hours on end. You absolutely cannot as a human being. You can't keep repeating the same stuff to the same people and your voice doesn't show it. And he said, I think by afternoon I'd have been barking at them. You don't have to call us. Yeah. So he got the point. That's what I wanted him to see. That you have to be very humane about this and you have to understand what your people go through to serve customers. And what sorts of weirdness happens when customers talk to you. Okay, you have to experience it. So if you have a boss willing to do this, role model and set the standard, you have a chance. If you yourself are running a team that is tasked with customer experience, you better be hands-on. Coaxing, coaching, coercing, pushing, all day long, because that's what it takes. And it has to absolutely start from the top. Right, number 3. I think this was one of the questions you raised earlier. If your aim is happy customers, if that's your goal, there's only one strategy that works here, which is happy employees. There is nothing else you can do. If you don't have happy employees, you have no chance of pulling this off, really. Why is that? It's a very simple human thing, isn't it? Do unhappy people make anyone happy? No, just away from even business. When people are unhappy, when you are unhappy, are you able to be all cheerful and make everybody else happy? When you are genuinely unhappy yourself, you can't, can you? The only way for an unhappy person to make somebody happy, somebody else happy, is for them to look at you and say, thank God I'm not there. Yeah, I'm not as unhappy as this person. It's the only way. But if you want warmth, smiles, friendliness, you want all that stuff, yeah, it can only be done by your happy employee. If your employee hates the job, hates the work, hates you, hates the pay, hates the experience of being an employee with you, they are not going to give anybody else a great experience. They just won't. So when you think about customers, don't think about them first. First think about your employees. Look at your team and think about, are these guys engaged, motivated, up for this? Because if they are not, you have a huge, huge challenge on your hands. And I've seen so many people think customer service is something you can just stick on to the organization. You can't. You have to start from the employee experience to get the outstanding customer experience. So what is your employee experience? That's where you begin. If it is mediocre, so will the customer experience be. If employees, on the other hand, feel motivated, feel engaged, feel part of a bigger deal in your organization, then you have every opportunity to turn that into outstanding customer experience as well. But it's the same thing. This distinction between internal and external customers is just a line we draw. Actually, it's a very human thing. The employees are human, so are the customers. Have a great thing going with your employees and you'll have a great thing going with your customers. But you can't have one without the other. You can't say we're just interested in the customers, yeah, because they pay us the money. These employees just need to smile and do the right stuff. So if you want to start somewhere, you start with your employees and look at the employee experience and build from there. Right. To put it in Tom Peters' words, he says it better than me, you can read that. If you want to wow your customers, first you must wow those who wow the customers. That's the point. Okay. Number 4, if you want to be special at this, if you want to do this thing called customer experience extremely well, if you want to set a standard, please don't copy. There are so many organizations I see telling me, please tell us the benchmarks. We want to do a benchmarking exercise. How good or bad are we compared to others? What do they do that's so special? Sunny, come and tell us how they pulled it off. And what are the top 3 things they do, and I'll make sure my guys do them. And I say, really, why? Why do you want to copy somebody? When you copy another human being, what have you said to yourself without knowing it? What have you said? That I'm about to copy someone now? What have you just said to your brain? That we are inferior. Those guys are better. Yeah, we need to check them out and copy them. And now you go and tell your employees that. We must copy those guys. You probably don't say copy, you'll say benchmark. Yeah. Yeah. Why would you want to do this? I never understand the impulse. What you should do is look at your setting, your customers, your people, study your target customer, think what would wow them, put yourselves in their lives and do it your way. Outstanding customer experience is like doing jazz. It's not like doing a symphony with the notes already set for you. Yeah? You do it your way. You look at your situation. You figure out what you should be doing. It's harder. Yeah? You can read any number of books about this and pick up some ideas, great. But don't mimic blindly. The book or the program or the competitor is not going to solve your problem. It can provoke thought in you, and you take your thought to your battleground and figure out now what's our game plan here. But it's you. The issue about copying the best companies or the best CEOs is you should always ask yourself, who did they copy? Against whom were they benchmarking? Yeah? And you know the answer to that. The best people are originals. They're not scanning the globe looking for ideas from everyone else. They're putting their eyes and ears on their situation and figuring it out, and then they get copied if they do it well. To be copied is the thing. To copy is not. Yeah? I'm far more delighted when I'm asked, and it's my client, how do we copy them? Because now I'm happy for my client. I am not happy for the person asking, how do we copy them? So don't be blind about this. Pay deep attention to your situation. Play it your way. Find your answer. Let other people look at you with envy. Tell your team that. We are going to set the standard in this market. Let them try and copy. Let them come and try and poach your people. All good, by the way. Yeah, and I think you understand, customer care is not about getting that great person from that organization. It's a system. It's a culture. You can't just pluck somebody, plant them in yours, and now there's a mediocre culture here, and they will not thrive. Okay, so it's very hard to copy. An outstanding customer experience setup has so many moving parts that it's unique. And those unique moving parts is what it's all about. Okay. Right, we're number 5. I mentioned culture. It's actually all about culture. Yeah. What does culture mean? Culture means shared patterns of behavior, of thinking. Something that we do together without even knowing we're doing it the same way. It takes a long, long time to embed cultures. It takes a long, long time to change them. Okay. Now, even for those of us who spend our lives thinking about these sorts of things, the importance of culture is often underplayed, and in my life it has been. I started off life as a strategy consultant. I moved on to being a leadership consultant, and you would think that's enough. Okay? You would think that, let me try and build this up for you. Strategy is very important. Okay? Operations are very important. The connection between the two is very important. And it is. And I spent a lot of my life, early part, on those things. But you start to detect something is missing. Do you know in the early days when astronomers were trying to map out the solar system, and they didn't have the great telescopes we have now, they were trying to guess if there were more planets, right? And they would not know. You could see the ones that are closest to Earth, then you see another one, and you map it out, and then you say, okay, there are 6 planets in the solar system. But if you start studying how the movements around that area, you start to wonder, how come our equations are not working? How come the path we think that other planet should be taking or that moon should be taking is not working? And you realize there's another planet there. We can't see it. So one of the clever astronomers would then say, I think there's a planet of this size in this location. Now everybody's telescopes would train there, and then they would discover it. Oh my God, there's something there. And that's what it is like with my diagram. There is something called culture distorting everything. And if you're not aware of it, that this is the deal breaker, you will spend your life devising strategies and operating plans and saying to yourself, we're on it, we're doing it. But culture is the missing planet, and its gravitational pull is distorting everything, unless you know exactly where it is and what you're going to do about it. Because we come up smack against culture all the time. And I said to myself 5 years ago, really, I have to crack this thing called culture. Where does it come from? Who sets it? How do you change it? Because we are not going to do many of those strategies and many of those operating plans until we get culture right. And it's, again, one of the hardest things you'll pull off. So if great, outstanding customer experience is product, yes, it is. Okay, and it's systems and processes, and yes, it is. But it's also culture. I think you can tell which is going to be the hardest thing there. Yeah, it's the people and their culture. You crack that one, you can make do with even mediocre products and mediocre systems, but you can't make do with mediocre culture, a culture that is aimed at pleasing the customer. If you don't have that, the other stuff will be distorted. And that's why it's tough. That's why I said right at the beginning, you better be a culture specialist to make this thing work. And you have got to go deep on what this thing called culture actually means. Okay, where does it come from? What can I do to influence culture? Okay, and culture is a complicated thing. The more you study it, the more you watch it, the more you try to do it with clients, you figure out this is a complicated thing. It is probably a 5-year program to do anything meaningful around culture. But that does not mean you don't start. Sometimes people hear it's 5 years, okay, well, I won't be here that time, so, you know. No, you start. The great work of your life will be transforming a culture somewhere to the right thing. So start. Start with the little things. Start with the top. Start with the role modeling. Start with the examples. Start with the small things, not the huge ones. Culture will grow with success. But you have to be ready to grapple with this. Okay. Number 6. Now we're in a digital world. As we have been talking about people and tangible physical experiences, the whole game has changed again. Everything is going digital and virtual. What does that mean? It means actually a great deal. Let me explain this by way of example. So, how many of you in this room are Netflix subscribers? Raise your hands. Pretty much the whole room. Yeah, 80%. As you'd expect. How many of you were Netflix subscribers 5 years ago? Oh, there was 1, 2. Interesting. But suddenly, we went from almost 0% market share in this room, which is thousands of miles away from where Netflix is, yeah, to 80% market share. Why? Why are you Netflix subscribers? All of you and me. Why is it you don't even have a choice, really? Do you have a choice? Can you just go home today and switch off Netflix? Will there not be a family coup and you'll be deposed? Deposed as head of the household. Yeah? Why do people feel we have to absolutely have this thing in our lives when they hadn't heard of it 3 years ago? Because it's transformed the user experience, hasn't it? Yeah? You think back to how you used to watch TV. Think back now 10 years ago, how did you watch TV? You sit up at the time advertised. You sit down there and you switch on the TV and you better be there at that time. Otherwise, that's it. You missed it. Okay? Or if then people figured out you have to do a repeat. There'll be a repeat on a certain day at a certain time. And then you better be sitting. Yeah? Then this wow thing came called the PVR, which you can click and record your program. Can you remember what a wow that was? That I no longer have to follow your schedule. I can set my schedule. And Netflix took that even further and said, to hell with the PVR, just click here and everything will start. And you can watch all 10 episodes in one go. You can watch them one at a time. Your call. You can watch 5. You can watch 9 and faint and come back for the 10th one. Yeah? Up to you. You're in charge. That's the win. That's the win. Now, my question is, in most of our lives, when we interact with businesses, we have our guy, don't we? Yeah? So there's somebody in your bank who is your guy. It could be a girl, but yeah, let's call it a guy. You have somebody that you reach for, rather than the whole bank. Yeah? You have your taxi guy, I'm sure. You have your plumber, your fundi guy, yeah, that you call. There's always a guy. So who's your Netflix guy? Is there someone at Netflix who always sorts you out? Is there someone you call specially that, having issues? Do you even need to call anyone? Have you felt like calling Netflix? How did they set it up in your house? Did a guy come with a ladder and put up some aerials? And how did you set it up in your house? You just heard from your friend, this thing is great. These are the programs. How do I do it? Here, click. It started. Yeah. And then you figure out, whoa, you can put it on all your devices and move across them and pause here and resume in the other one. That was a wow when you first figured that out. I can lie in my bed now with my tablet as opposed to in front of the TV. Or if I think really I need a big screen, I'll just pause it there and go down and continue that. Up to you. You can watch it in a train on your littlest screen if you choose. No difference. There are such wows in the user experience, but you don't have a Netflix guy. You don't need to know anyone, you don't need to call anyone, because they've designed it to be as flawless as possible from the word go and to be digitally flawless. Do you know Netflix has something like 7,000 employees, okay, to do 150 million users around the world, okay? 95, 98% of those employees are just on the streaming experience. They're just engineers, they're techies. They don't need many other people. Yeah, 6,000 something are just to make sure the thing streams properly, even if you don't have great bandwidth. Just making sure you don't get the buffering as far as possible is the point. Of course, they have to have the shows you want to watch. That's a given, and that's why they spend billions of dollars on that. But the hard work is to just make the user experience immaculate. And to make sure that whichever country you introduce Netflix in, soon you get something like 80% market share. But it's not now centered on you calling, chatting, talking, people with ladders, people hammering, nothing like that. It's digital. And the faster we understand it, that now with your Netflix experience of life, yes, you guys, when you go to a physical experience, an analog experience, you are going to bring the same expectation. That I want to click this thing and it better work. So if you are saying to your customer, in our world, you come here and you come with a letter, yeah, and then you come again, then you fill a form, and then someone visits you, and then 4 weeks later perhaps you'll get some service, you are done. Because the world is used to the Netflix model, where it just works. They no longer want to talk to you. They no longer want to visit you. They just want the thing to work. The people who have to get this most of all are banks. They have the biggest problem with this. They have to get this. Now let me give you an example. A year ago, last August, almost a year ago, I changed my phone number. I decided new phone number, relatively private phone number. So I wrote to my banks, 2 banks, an email and said, I have changed my phone number. This is the new one. Delete the old one. Keep this one as private as possible, but in your banking system now, please make sure this is the only number I'm called on. The other one is gone. Why are you all laughing? I haven't even finished telling you the story. Because you know what's coming next, don't you? So I sent the email. It was done, wasn't it? All over. Of course not. I did get replies saying, thank you, noted, will be done. So I was thinking, whoa, Netflix-esque. This is great. I didn't even need to phone anyone. Okay. Did it work? No. Where did my calls all go for the next 6 months? To the old number. How did I know? Because nobody was calling me from the bank when they used to every 2 days to approve things or do this or check this. No calls. So you start to wonder, and then when you call them to say, did you change my number, guys? They'd say yes. Then they'll go and check in the system and come back. Looks like the system didn't do it. We're going to do it now. Now, one of the banks, when I first complained, got embarrassed, took the slap on the face, figured out what went wrong and fixed it. Okay, I'm willing to live. It was 6 months later, but I'm willing to live with that. I don't know how many calls I missed that I should have had, but nothing has gone too bad. I'm okay with that. The other bank, which is the international bank, it's not even the local one, is still trying to change my number. Up to today. It has not happened. They discovered 6 months ago when I pointed out I have not had a call from your bank. Really? Then they checked, oh my God, the system didn't do it. Okay, we are now doing it. I then got a call saying your number has been changed. Thank you. It will now take place all over the system. Wonderful. And I said, okay, 6 months is not too bad in the banking world of trying to do something. Good. So they're both on board now. Only one of them was, because the calls never came. Recently, I figured out I never got a call to approve a fairly large check, a fairly large tax check. The largest checks in our lives are usually to the taxman. So what is going on? And I called again to say, what has happened? Why didn't I get a call to approve that very huge check? Ooh, looks like the system's still trying to call your old number. And I said, when the system tries to call my old number, there's a message saying this number no longer exists. Is your system that blind, or you don't bother? No human being takes over, nothing happens? They said, actually what it is, what we didn't tell you a year ago, is you needed to write a letter. I sent an email, but email is not good enough for bankers. You needed to write a letter. So if you send us a letter now, we will change your number happily. Are you getting my point? Yeah. Netflix, letter. Click, everything works, no need to call anyone, it's great. Letter. Now, the other thing I did when I changed the number, I thought, with my Apple devices, what do I do there? They also need to know there's a different number. As I was thinking about this, having inserted the new SIM card, in 1 hour, I got a message on my iPhone asking, you seem to be using a different number. Do you wish this to be your default number from now on? And I said, whoa, yes. Okay. And would you like this to be spread across the iCloud system? So this will be your number everywhere. I said, yes. Done. Are you still using the old number? No. Deleted. It was done. Across the world. In all devices. Immediately. Yeah? Click, send us a letter. 1 year later. So this is why I keep saying to you, it's hard. You have to have the intent. But please, you cannot be living in a world of Netflix and iPhones and iCloud where people are used to that and expect them to be happy with you did not send us a letter. And now you must. That world has passed. I don't know why you are stuck in it. Yeah, these devices have Face ID. You can verify exactly who somebody is with your device looking at them. Or they put their thumbprint. It's over. You do not need somebody to send you a letter. A signature is easier to forge than phone authentication. But if you're going to live in the past, then you have a problem. So this world called digital CX is all about click, it's done. It's about very limited human contact because it's not needed. This does not mean the humans are not needed. Of course they are needed. They are needed in the background to run these systems and make them work. And by the way, the iPhone talking to me was not a human being. It's not somebody popped up to call me from Apple. Have you changed your number? It was an algorithm that has been set to say 60 minutes of using a new phone number, ask. Ask because it would be good for everyone to know this. This guy's changed his number. We will also keep selling to that person. Why did the bank not think like that? We need this person to keep buying our services. We don't want a disruption just because they've changed their number. We want to be the ones actually saying, we'll do everything. Because we want to keep you. Yeah? That's why Apple did it. That's why Netflix does it. So most of us are coming from a lot of legacy, a lot of baggage from the past. Can we please accelerate into the one-click customer experience? Okay. Last one then. Number 7. At the end of the day, people, this thing will not come down to how many courses you went to, how many speakers you heard, how many books you read about the subject. It will come to what is inside you. If you feel this as an intent, if you feel, I want to be this outstanding CX person, I want to be known for this, I want my team to excel, I want Sunny to come and study us and write about us. We want to be that good. I want to be copied. It's a personal standard. You either have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, ask yourself if you are cut out for this. Because this is a hard thing. But if you do have the inklings of it, if you have the basic intention, now raise your game. You personally, individually, contextually, not copying. Yeah? Say to yourself, I will do this. Again, every member of your team, say that thing to them. Even if there are 30 of them, 300 of them, 3,000 of them, they need to know this thing comes from the individual. You are either up for this, you will sit up straight as you take the calls, or you, please don't work here. This thing, by the way, is not for everyone. You can't just take any employee and turn them into great customer experience people. I have watched it over 20, 30 years. Please choose carefully in the first place. There are some people really inclined to this. Yeah, they are naturally outward focused. They want to create something. They have it. There are others you will train and retrain and then fire. Yeah, because it will be too hard. They're not cut out for it. So don't think this is one size fits all. You have to actually get the right people in and then really, really ask them repeatedly, are you up for this? This is a tough thing you're being asked to do. It's not the easiest job in the world. But if there are human beings with a high standard willing to do this, we have a chance. Otherwise, we don't. Okay, I think I should stop there. Let me finish with this. Why I'm saying it starts with the individual. Okay, this is something a CEO said a long time ago, which I really liked, and I use usually to end a lot of my talks. It's about Burger King, and that's what he said. When he was asked, what's your mission statement and your vision statement, and what are your values, I don't know anything about any of that. I don't read those books, right? But what I know is all of our people need to give a, let's say, give a damn. And there's so much truth in that. Now, if you look at that, it is actually impossible that 250,000 people give a damn. They don't, and I think he knows that as well. But a large proportion need to. You can't say 5,000 of those give a damn, and they are my core team. These others are employees. Yeah? You have to try as a leader to make sure the majority of your people, if you do majority, you'll be ahead of the world. Yeah? Care about their work. Regard their work as a bigger deal. Think of it as something special. All success ensues from that. That's why I tell you culture is so important. This comes from culture, giving a damn. When you see people around you giving a damn and being applauded and rewarded and promoted for it, you also raise your game. But if there's mediocrity all around you and the wrong people keep getting promoted, you are not going to participate. Or you'll participate in exactly that way. You'll try to figure out the politics that will get you promoted. Yeah? Not the performance. So it's all about the culture system and performance system you set up. But the aim is this, people, that people should give a damn. If they do, if enough of them do, then you have every opportunity to do something outstanding. Okay. Right. I'll stop there. Thank you so much. Great pleasure.